And that was the Honeys, a very smooth sound with End of the Line. The time is 12:28. You're listening to Parental Patter here on Six Towns Radio. Now, I'm delighted to say that we have Ian Hutchinson, who is the Chief Executive of the Mitchell Arts Centre, and he has arrived in the studio. Good afternoon, Ian.
Good afternoon.
Nice to have you with us, because I'm very impressed with the Mitchell Arts Centre, particularly since the refurbishment.
Yes.
It's going from strength to strength, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's been fantastic. We opened in May 2011, and since then our work with community groups and local amateur dramatic societies and dance schools has just been on the up, growing and growing. And now we're looking at how we can develop our own activities to support the work that already happens within the centre.
Absolutely. Now, I tell you, the last thing I went to was that marvellous community day, which was organised by students from Staffordshire University.
That's right, yes.
And I have to say, I was very impressed with it.
Absolutely, and that was a really good partnership for us. We worked with Staffordshire University and their event management team, and it was about providing students the opportunity to actually put on a real event with real activities, taking over the whole centre, and it allowed those students to develop their skills in that whole area. And it's been fantastic. We've had such good feedback from that.
Yes, I can imagine. What I liked about it wasn't just the fact that it was very diverse in relation to performance. Yeah. I mean, and it was really diverse. But I also liked the fact that there were lots of activities for children. And I took my daughter, and I went with another mother and her little girl. And the kids absolutely loved it. So that's a key thing, isn't it, to make that a real family focus?
Absolutely. I mean, Mitchell Arts Centre now, but it was originally called Mitchell Memorial Theatre, always had a very strong youth focus, and that's part of what we're looking at doing now, making sure that that continues and goes into the future. And part of our vision is to make sure that we have that central to our delivery. One of the sort of key ambitions for us is to make sure that we become what we're calling at the moment a People's Palace. The Royal Festival Hall in London, when it was originally launched, used to have the cafe, the restaurant area called the People's Palace, which was about bringing in everybody and anybody to the building, even if you're not interested in the arts or creativity. And for us, that's very important, that the cafe becomes the central hub in delivering access to people and people coming in and using our space. And you don't actually have to be involved in the arts or involved in the events and the shows that happen, but ultimately for us it's about ensuring that it's family friendly and has a very strong youth element, and that's also running through to our programme too.
Yes, I mean, in relation to the cafe, which is lovely, by the way, and I do think the architectural design of the building is really impressive.
Absolutely.
As well, isn't it? You know, all the glass, it's a super place, light and bright. But you have actually quite a few family-related activities going on in the cafe, don't you? Toddler activities, I know, that you've had in the past on a weekly basis.
Yes.
Are they still ongoing?
Yes, well, one of the key ones that was originally started was called Make and Bake, which Sarah Clemson, our cafe bar manager, set up, and it's been absolutely fantastic. It had a period in the last few months where we haven't been running it, and we've managed to get some fantastic partnership with the Thomas Bowie Children's Centre and funding to go with that. So it relaunched again on Tuesday this week. So it used to be on Wednesdays, so a note for your diary if you used to come. It's now on a Tuesday at 3:30 to 5 p.m, so it's after school.
Super.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're recognising that families and people with toddlers also have young other children who may want to participate within the activity. It's a free event. And that's what's really good. We do now ask for small donations if people can afford that, but ultimately it's not a requirement, and that just covers our sort of basic resources and ingredients costs. And it's about getting young people and toddlers to participate in some creativity around food, card making, glitter, glue, eating, obviously, because you get to eat the great things, and a little bit of messy play, I guess, within our space, so that our space doesn't become seen to be a place where only older people and, you know, the finer arts happen within. You know, it's about opening it up.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things I also like about it is that you put things on for children in particular during the holidays.
That's right.
I brought my own daughter along in the holidays, and she's done those activities that you've just mentioned and has had lots of fun.
Yes, I mean we've in the past focused on some film events, film screenings within our auditorium, as well as developing animation workshops and working with Big Red Studios, they're a fantastic organisation that do really good work in terms of animation, professional animators, but they also do great work with young people and engaging young people. So we've always used that kind of ethos within the holiday period. But we're looking at sort of growing that and developing that. So over the summer holidays, we're looking at extending that to include obviously make and bake, as I mentioned before. We're looking at sort of dance, introduction to dance or movement events, face painting, which we're hoping to be free so that people can come and enjoy that. And also designer card competitions that would run weekly, and they would have a theme. So it could be about design or paint your own Spitfire, design a cake or a show costume, or even a stage setting or something like that. And it's open to all ages. And at the end of each week, we would then offer a prize to that particular family who wins. We'll select it and we'll put the pictures up as well. So it's very much about driving activity across all the art forms that we do and encouraging that we have something on offer. And film screens as well, as I mentioned previously.
Absolutely. And very encouraging that you mentioned some of these activities are free.
Oh, yes.
I think in this age of austerity, that's what parents want to hear.
They do. I mean, obviously for us, it's about how we then get funding to do that. But where we can make it free, we will. And we recognise that really provides some support for people in the city. And summer holidays is a long period, and there needs to be activities for families to do. So, bringing people into the city, it's good for us, it's good for the city centre, and hopefully that will allow us to grow our programme in the future and really engage with young people and have performances and events and activities across all periods rather than just holiday periods.
But it's multifaceted as well, isn't it, the Arts Centre? Because it isn't just the programmes that you put on and that you're developing, but people can actually hire out for private events as well, can't they? Oh,
absolutely. And a large part of what we do is working with community groups and local organisations and businesses in providing space for hire. So our auditorium is regularly hired out for week blocks. Quite often, certainly this time of year, we get a lot of dance schools and colleges that hire us. They do end-of-year performances, and the work is fantastic, very youth-focused, very diverse, and the talent is unbelievable, really, really good. And all of those events, I would say about 90% are open to the public. You can buy tickets for all those activities, and you can do that by phoning our box office or going online, and on our website has all of those details.
And I have to admit that, I have seen performances several times at the Arts Centre now, and that stage and auditorium is wonderful, isn't
beautiful,
it?
Absolutely beautiful. And I think that's the thing about the redevelopment. The work that was done has really, really made the building fantastic. It's so flexible. It allows us to deliver conferences with businesses very professionally, and we are also to deliver community activities. And I think that the main auditorium has kept its magic. It was built in 1957, or was opened in 1957 to the public. And part of that redevelopment was about ensuring that kept sort of at the heart. The gem was kept as it was, and everything around it has been very much modernised. But the feel to the auditorium is still a very much 50s feel. Very, very lovely.
It is. It's absolutely super to be there and actually, experience it. Now, the key aspect, of course, of the Arts Centre is the community angle. Now, do you find, is that a difficult activity to connect with community? I mean, I would imagine it's constantly ongoing and constantly developing.
Absolutely. We've always had incredibly strong links with the communities and community groups and community arts organisers. And for us, it's about how we then can develop beyond the people that already know us and use us. And we're always meeting people who pop in now and have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, talk about their experiences from the past, either their childhood, having a turn on the stage when they were in the Scouts, or visiting as a parent and seeing their children. So for us, it's very much about trying to reconnect to those communities, the ones that maybe have drifted away, have got older and haven't really kind of used the facilities. So that's why we always make sure that we let people know that we have free Wi-Fi for anybody. You can come in and have a cup of tea. If you want to have a look round, just let us know. We're more than happy to show people around. And that's to sort of drive, I guess, or to demonstrate our ambition that we're open and that we want people to come and use us and that we're open for a conversation about how we can make those things work. And one of the great things that's happening in the city at the moment is that there's an Arts Council fund that's just been delivered to a consortium called Creative People and Places. And that's a £3 million grant that has been provided to the city to grow community activity around the arts, and that will start to really expand the opportunity and offer within the city across all art forms, for all communities, and for all the arts organisations that work within that. So that's just going to be fantastic, and that's just about to start. So I can really see how things are going to change.
That sounds marvellous, actually. I mean, I must confess, I do think Stoke-on-Trent and Newcastle-under-Lyme, I mean, obviously they're adjacent to each other. I do think they are pretty impressive with the arts for a city. I mean, I think about, many of the press releases I get which involve, activities that are happening for young people, for older people, the diversity of it. I mean, if people say Stoke-on-Trent is a cultural backwater, I really do get very annoyed and challenge them, because I really do think it's up and coming. Well, it exists now, but like you've just said, it's developing all the time, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's very rich. And I think it's really important for people to search it out a little bit, perhaps. There is a lot going on, and it's going to get more and more. And, the great thing about it is we have some fantastic international activities that happen here. Like you've mentioned, across Newcastle-under-Lyme and Stoke-on-Trent City, there are incredible creative and cultural activities that go on. And things like the British Ceramic Biennial, which, is an international event. And that happens right on our doorstep. So I think that you can't really say it's a cultural desert here and those things. I think it might just be that we need to maybe promote it a bit better, or how get audiences to sort of look for it a bit more, or to sort of tap into ways to get that information out and have that conversation. And I think that certainly that Creative People and Places Fund is about developing that audience dialogue and that discussion and how that can happen.
Yes, I think that is a really key point, and it's funny that you said it, because that was going to be my next question. I tend to know about these things because I'm connected to media.
Yes.
But, sometimes I then tell other mothers at the school gate or other people I know, and they've no idea what's going on. I think people, years ago, I can think of my parents, they comb the Sentinel every night. Everybody seemed to comb the Sentinel to find out what was happening. But, of course, that doesn't happen to the extent now. So it's how do you get that information across to people? Facebook, of course, is superb, the social networking side of things. And that's how I find out about many things now that I've connected. Although I had resistance to connect, but of course here at the radio I had no alternative. They wouldn't let me leave the building one day until I'd actually signed up to Facebook. But now I can see what a valuable tool it is. So that is a challenge, isn't it? It's getting the information across.
Absolutely. And for us, about growing our audience and getting the information from people who are interested, so that we can send people information. So for us, at the moment, we're looking for people to join our newsletter. It's one of our pushes at the moment. And if anybody is interested in receiving any information from us about any of our activities, then please go onto our website. There's a sign up to our newsletter element at the bottom of every page. Or if not, pop into the centre and give us your details. Or you can phone us on our phone number, which is 01782 409 307, and just speak to our box office and hand over your details. And then as and when we will email information out, or we're starting a newsletter that will be posted out in the autumn.
Yes, that's wonderful. Well, we're going to take a break now, Ian, for a little bit of music, and then we'll come back and talk about the desire to recruit more volunteers.
Yes.
Please don't get me wrong, see, I forgive you in a song we'll call The Likely Lands.
That was the Libertines with what became in the Likely Lads. The time is 12:45. You're listening to Parental Patter here on Six Sounds Radio. I'm talking to Ian Hutchinson from the Mitchell Arts Centre. Now, Ian, is it the case that you're encouraging more volunteers to get involved with the centre?
That's right, we are, yes. One of the things, being placed within the voluntary sector, we're already sort of seeing great success within that and working with volunteers. But as we're starting to grow our own activities and the work that we're doing, we really do need to start recruiting more volunteers. So there's some great opportunities to take to come and work with us and help us deliver our aims and ambitions. So the things that we're looking at are opportunities for people to do reception duties, which would be answering the phone, selling tickets, customer services, all the way through to auditorium ushering. So that would be participating in evening activities and some matinees, and making sure that our customers are safe and everyone's well, and the well-being of people within the auditorium. there's the opportunity to sort of develop some career skills in stage in the technical management side. And that's something that we have had a few volunteers participate in the past, and it has been a fantastic opportunity for those individuals, as well as marketing as well, because that's one of the key areas for us to sort of push and demonstrate. So anybody either with an interest in marketing or who has marketing experience or skills would be really welcome. And all we do is that we ask people just to get in contact with us. You can download information from our website, or again, you can give us a call or pop into the centre and pick up some information or have a conversation with us. And then we can take it from there. And just the value of volunteering is so important and so significant for organisations such as us. And personally, I was a volunteer myself way back. I volunteered for a full year, doing 40 hours a week within an arts gallery in Sheffield after I left college, and that really gave me the sort of leg up into the career that I now do. So it really does have some fantastic opportunities ahead once you do sort of participate in the volunteering opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think the one thing that it does do is give people transferable skills. That, like you've just said, it helped you. I've done volunteering since I was about 14, and I started at the old Victoria Theatre in the 70s when I was at high school. And I think it does kind of link into other areas of your life. It can be very beneficial. And the other key thing is it can be such fun as well.
Oh, absolutely. The social side's great. You meet other people.
Absolutely.
You can have some great conversations. You can do something that you've never done before. It allows you to experiment, and try different areas and see if you enjoy them and see if you like it. And for us, it's a really great opportunity to work with sort of such diverse workforce.
Yes.
And they become really central to what we do. We can't run the centre without volunteers, so it's really important that, that we respect volunteers and that we work as a team and that we work collectively.
Wonderful. Now, if people do want to get in touch, can you just give us the contact details again, please?
Yes, our box office number is 01782 409 307, and you can just speak to the front of house manager there. If you ask for Harriet, she should be able to provide you with information regarding volunteering. Or you can go to our website, which is www.mitchellartcentre, that's all together, .co.uk, and there's a link straight from our front page, or you can just pop into the centre.
Super.
And we're based on Broad Street.
Yes, in Hanley and Stoke-on-Trent.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. It's been a delight to talk to you.
Well,
thank you so much for coming into the studio. And we hope to hear more about the Mitchell Arts Centre.
I'd love to come back and tell you more.
Most definitely.
Thank you very much.
6 Towns Radio.
He's gonna step on you again.